Hi, this is Jason Fielder with the Daily Forex Report for July 12th. Currently looking at the US-Japanese yen pair. This particular pair, we have a pair that closed down on Friday. It appears to be moving sideways, or at least starting to move sideways. Definitely want to keep an eye on this pair. A break below this support area would be a signal that we're moving even lower. What I'm looking for is the pair continue moving sideways, but with a heavy bias to the downside. So keep an eye on that. Looking for this pair to potentially move as high as 93.83, possibly as low as 91.01. Look for some resistance around 92.86, and look for some support around 91.75 in this particular pair. Now, switching over to the Euro-USD pair, this pair closed down on Friday's. For Friday's session, it did create an inside bar from Thursday's session, so we could have a potential breakout, although where we closed was kind of in the middle. I don't necessarily see it breaking out that far, at least within this session. Do look for this pair to potentially go as high as 141.28, possibly as low as 137.87. Look for some resistance around 139.83, and look for some support around 138.81 in this particular pair. Now, switching to the pound US dollar pair, this particular pair closed down also. It also formed an inside bar at the close on Friday. We are looking for this pair to continue moving sideways with a bias that is sideways. Look for this pair to potentially move as high as 164.64, possibly as low as 160.32. Look for some resistance around 162.86, and look for some support around 161.36 in this particular pair. Now, looking at the US Swiss, this pair closed up on Friday's session. Did break the previous session's high, but did close much lower. Closed at previous support that you can see here and resistance at this point. Do look for this pair to continue moving sideways with a bias that is sideways. Look for this pair to possibly go as high as 110.02, possibly as low as 107.00. Look for some resistance around 108.88, and look for some support around 107.95. Well, we don't have any news announcements, no significant, I should say, news announcements going into this new session. And what am I looking at as far as, what am I looking to trade during this next session? One of the things that I'm looking to trade is the pound Japanese yen pair. Asking yourself why? Well, we have an inside bar that was created on Friday from Thursday's session, and Thursday's session was also an inside bar. So we have a double inside bar set up here. We have the potential if we break to the upside, and what I'm looking at is Thursday's, which is this session's high, and Thursday's low, looking for a break. If we get a break to the upside, you could definitely see us tagging this point right here, this session's low, as far as hitting previous support that is now resistance, and that would be a significant run up of, and I really haven't done the numbers to the upside, have done them to the downside. Looks like around 169 pips. You could possibly tag that at 100 pips even, and see where that takes you. Takes you right about here, which is just a little bit above, at 100 pips, a little bit above this previous area of support that we hit during this session, and support we found here as well. So that may be a good place to, if it does break to the upside, to go ahead and move to break even, looking for it to move all the way up to this point. Now, to the downside, if we move to the downside, which is kind of what I'm looking for, still taking Thursday's low, but looking for it to tag this low, which is over 100 pips. I would basically look for it to hit 100 pips, and we would basically tag some of the previous support that we've had during this session and this session and this session the previous support, and it would be a little bit shy of Wednesday's session's low, which would probably be a good thing if you're thinking about hitting a target. You want to bring it in a little bit closer than the session before its low. So you could definitely have a exit here, a take profit, and you have your short, and then just use your a 1-to-1 stop loss. So if we get a break to the downside, we can get that filled without being stopped out. So that's a scenario I'm looking at in the pound Japanese yen pair. I do anticipate this occurring in one direction or the other, unless we have another inside bar today, which would be even a more significant breakout for going into Tuesday session. Well, that about does it for today. Until next time, this is Jason Fielder. Good trading.